first things first, sir. Sir, do you still think that Haris Raut's exclusion from the T20 World Cup squad was still the right or wrong decision?
I would say if you look at Abbas Afridi's progression as a
He's
batter in
like
the
a
last
good
2
9,
years,
not an 8, I feel.
I would say at this stage, especially for PSL level, I think he has improved his batting enough that you can slot him in at 8.
यार आई रिमेम्बर दैट फाइनल में जो उसने मारे थे और ये मारे थे आज, उसके अलावा क्या याद है किसी को?
And then when you look at Hyderabad Kingsmen, their recruitment strategy is basically just filling the team with players they're familiar with from the United States.
Good evening, cricket fans, and welcome to yet another over and out edition brought to you by DawnNews English. Of course, the PSL is well and truly in progress. We have just concluded the first weekend with a thrilling game between Lahore Qalandars and Karachi Kings. Unfortunately, Lahore Qalandars once again missing out against their eternal rival. I have Asad Jafar and, of course, Mustafa Siddiqui alongside me. Asad, you've just watched this game, an absolute thriller, final over thriller. Karachi Kings take it once again. Your immediate hot take on this match?
I actually woke up just a few minutes before this game ended, so I quickly caught up on the highlights before joining this. And yeah, as usual, I think at this point it's become a bit of a tradition, a yearly tradition that the Lahore Qalandars get embarrassed by the Karachi Kings at their home ground. More of the same. And what I found quite interesting was the 5 penalty runs in the final over, which ended up being a big difference. So I don't know what was going on there. You guys saw the whole game, so I'll let you guys comment on that a bit more.
Go ahead, Mustafa.
So first things first, sir. Sir, do you still think that Haris Raut's exclusion from the T20 World Cup squad was still the right or wrong decision?
Well, he's your designated death bowler, man. I mean, it's always going to be win or lose. You know, sometimes you win, sometimes you don't. The same guy defended runs against Bangladesh, aapko yaad hoga, Asia Cup in that virtual semi-final. So it's always give and take with Haris Raut. It's never going to change. So what can you do?
Yeah. So getting on to the game, I do think I thought 130 was below par, but I did not think it was such below par. I thought it was a 150, 140-ish wicket from what I said, because it was the same wicket they used in the morning as well. So, and that was already a slow pitch, and that was about like 170 was very easily a very winnable score there. So like I thought, like even if Lahore had gotten to 150 by you saw the game. It was the chase was to 130. It went to the last over for a reason. It was a difficult wicket, and and that is also because of the pitch, but it was also because of Shaheen Shah Afridi being the Lahore talisman as he's always is, and like, man, he bowled so well. He was almost single-handedly willing Lahore to winning this game because I don't know what to say about him anymore, because like he's always has the ability to bowl these spells where you don't think something is chaseable or it's a belter or a wicket, and he will always somehow get wickets. Otherwise, I do think both sides' battings were a bit pedestrian. It was a tough wicket, but I do think there were a lot of soft dismissals here. Like especially Wasim's dismissal, Shaheen's wicket when Shaheen came back in the 15th over, and he just literally lobbed it straight to third man. That was a very soft wicket, and I thought it was a display of very, very clumsy and very stupid batting throughout the game, in my opinion.
Overall, the good sign for the league is that Karachi is a competent side. We talked about it in our PSL preview that on paper they look pretty strong. They've done some terrific recruitments. Moeen Ali, he's still got some juice. David Warner as a leader. Mohammad Wasim was a great pickup in my opinion. He struggled today, but overall he played a decent hand. Agar wo khada na hota us waqt, so definitely Karachi Kings would not have gotten across the line. Khushdil Shah, Azam Khan, Salman Ali Agha. So overall they have a pretty stout batting lineup, and with the addition of Adam Zampa, in my opinion, Asad. ये जो extra एक missing link आ गया ना उनकी bowling में, he bowled beautifully today as well, 2 for 11 in his 4 overs. That has added some much needed punch to that relatively mediocre fast bowling lineup. And now as a team unit, as a bowling unit, they look pretty good.
Yeah, and Adam Zampa, you could argue, is maybe after Rashid Khan, the greatest T20 bowler of this generation, the T20 spinner. Um, and it baffles me to this point that when we look at the auction, Adam Zampa went for his base price. This is a commodity who should have
And
been
he's
having,
fully
who should
available
have
as well,
had,
apparently.
and he's fully available. So he should have been the guy that everyone was having a bidding war over. But instead, you were saying bidding wars over players who are quite below Adam Zampa and when it comes to high quality T20 cricketers. And especially considering how much our local batters struggle against any kind of spin, and especially against leg spin, this should have been a no-brainer for a lot of the other teams. Obviously, when you look at teams like Quetta, who already have a pretty stacked spin attack, and then there's they might not be too inclined to take a look at him. But I would say any of the other teams, whether it's Peshawar Zalmi, whether it's even Lahore Qalandars to a large extent,
Every team,
uh,
absolutely. Yeah.
they should have been taking a look at him. And this is where I think when we discuss some of the other teams, there's still a very big gap in the recruitment strategies when it comes to team assembling in the PSL.
You also saw
Let's
that.
zoom out a little bit here, Mustafa, and take a overview of the tournament so far. The first 3, 4 match days you've seen. क्या लग रहा है PSL में क्या है क्या नहीं है? Of course, the crowds not being there is a massive loss, but seems like that thing is changing. There's been a coordinated, social media campaign from all the owners that something is about to change on that front. Overview क्या tournament का रहा है for the first week?
I don't think this. I think it's been pretty good wickets and pretty good cricket, and I do think there's also been really good wickets compared to what the last couple of years of the PSL have been. Like the last couple of years of the PSL, especially when we were playing in Pindi, they were complete roads, and like you were getting like 200 scores for fun. Like yes, these pitches can be a power of 190, 200 sometimes, but most of the games have been a nice, 170, 180, 190, right? That's like the sweet spot for T20, right? And like you had a little bit of variety today where you had a 130 game, which was fun, which was turned out to be in a very exciting, thrilling match. One thing I do have to say is the two teams I'm very concerned about right now. One is Hyderabad because they've already lost 2 matches, right? And because while their international component I think is really good, their local recruitment wasn't that great, in my opinion. And the other one I'm looking at is Islamabad because we were talking about this before the tournament as well, where I just found Islamabad's bowling to be a bit lackluster, and their whole strategy is just this season just doesn't make sense to me. And it's like it's their entire recruitment strategy just didn't make sense to me this year.
Asad, what do you think?
Yeah, no, I agree with most of what Mustafa said, because if you look at Islamabad United, they did they did have a bit of a bidding war in the auction over Mohammad Wasim Jr. and rightly so, because Wasim Jr. is one of those guys who offers that bowling skill set, and we saw last year when Quetta Gladiators were missing him in the final of all games, how they basically let a game that was on served up to them on the platter go to the Lahore Qalandars and they clinched their third title. Um, to then turn around and trade him for Salman Mirza, who granted he's a very good new ball bowler, but I think when you're assembling a team for the PSL or for any franchise league, you want to make sure that you prioritize the resources that are scarce amongst the local pool. And Wasim Jr. was checking that box off. Now, when if you needed someone who was going to be bowling with the new ball, and I understand that the left arm angle does narrow that down a bit, I wouldn't prioritize that over keeping someone like Mohammad Wasim Jr. in your fold. and we saw how Salman Mirza got along in that game. And beyond that, going to uh, obviously, I'm a bit biased because I wanted Quetta to hold on to Asim Jr. And it was even more baffling when they went on a bidding war and then they decided, okay, we're going to trade him anyways. Um, and then when you look at Hyderabad Kingsmen, their recruitment strategy is basically just filling the team with players they're familiar with from the United States, which I'm sorry to say, with all due respect, the PSL the is amongst the finest leagues in the world. Like I would say, probably the finest when after the IPL. So I think you need to respect the competition you're being a part of. I understand that as as a multi-club ownership model, like obviously you've seen this in football as well, but not as similar, obviously, because you can play across different teams at the same time. I understand wanting a certain level of synergy. We've seen this with other franchise leagues as well, where teams own multiple teams, but it can't come at the cost of the quality of cricketers you're picking. And that's what Hyderabad Kingsmen have done. And looking at today's game, um, I don't foresee them doing very well this season. I could see a potential repeat of what Multan did last year, or what Karachi did a few years ago with the 1-9 records.
Yeah, they could be ending up with the wooden spoon, especially they have some serious problems in both batting and bowling. Of course, they are expecting the likes of Glenn Maxwell to come in eventually. That could perhaps bolster their bowling and batting resources, but overall, they have looked very ordinary on paper. One team that well, that was a bit of a surprise. I was not backing them to win against Islamabad United, but in the end, they did it quite efficiently. Was Multan Sultans with a very heavy Australian influence. Mustafa, your take on them so far?
So we were talking about them in the preview that I have always loved Ashton Turner. I think Ashton Turner was supposed to be the Michael Hussey of this Australian generation, and he has a very calm and poise, and he's done this for almost a decade now of like being able to be calm in a chase, being he's a professional, and that professionalism like Steve Smith and Ashton Turner bring this type of professionalism to that batting lineup, being able to be calm everything down. Well, like yes, a 170 score in modern day T20 cricket is not a large score, but it can get out of way, especially against like a good bowling attack. Because like this bowling attack isn't like the Islamabad bowling attack isn't horrible. It does have Mirza, it does have Shadab Khan. Like
They
they
have
are
Hasnan on the bench. He could come in
very
eventually.
easy, very easy. I don't know why Hasnan's not playing.
And
Like
I wouldn't particularly say having Shadab Khan in the bowling attack right now is a plus, but I understand where you're coming from.
yes, I get what you mean, but like Shadab is still dangerous enough where you have to respect him. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
and like and you still have
Who was their
Salman
second seamer alongside Mirza? Was it
Gleason,
Gleason, Mirza? Who was the
decent.
third guy?
Ishad, Salman
Yeah,
Ishad.
Irshad.
And
One
Irshad
trick
bowled very
bowling.
well by
Yeah,
the way.
He's
Like he
fine,
did
but
he did
वही
quite well.
बात है ना कि he's not an all phases bowler. That's my issue with him.
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. So
I think that issue extends to a lot of bowlers
Yeah.
in the current
Akif
Carib bowling
Javed is
alliance.
the
So
biggest example for Hyderabad. They can only use him in the power play. They don't trust him at the death.
hmm.
yeah,
But no,
the only reason he ended up going in today was because obviously like Akri over and we had the tailenders in at that point.
yeah.
Yeah.
So one question I do have to ask you is, so I know Haris is your death bowler and you always play him and you always play him in the death. But you also had an over of Ubaid Shah left, and
Mhm.
he was 3 for 11, and like he had bowled a maiden over in this game as well. Wouldn't you, because of how dicey Haris Rauf can be, maybe put the bed in that situation and try him out?
I think repeatability is a massive problem in these franchise competitions. When you once you've defined a role for a bowler, they just stick to the game plan. They don't really veer away from it. I would have given Sikandar as the final over. Forget Ubaid. Even Sikandar I would have backed to defend 14, 15 runs. But of course, with that ball tampering issue, we haven't have quite figured out who did the ball tampering. Fakhar Zaman is being rumored on X and Twitter right now, but काफी बॉलर हैं उधर, काफी बॉलर हैं उधर बॉल बनाने वाले, so that's going to be interesting to see. But that's the problem, they don't veer away from the game plan. One thing I have seen in all of the 8 teams so far though is only Islamabad United bat till 8. Everybody has severely compromised batting lineups at the moment. वो तो चलो अरफात और उस दिन मैच खत्म कर गए, वरना नवाज was lifted at 7, listed at 7 for Multan, and it was all bowlers. Is Lahore Qalandars very strange team selection today? Their batting literally ended at 6, and that has been one issue that I have seen throughout the other 7 franchises, barring Islamabad United, who bat till 8. It didn't help them, but at least they have that depth till that number 8 position.
I slightly disagree with you, especially because we just saw that Karachi somewhat can bat till 8 because we do have Abbas Afridi coming at 8
Yeah,
and
but he's not a front line, you know.
no,
He's not a batting all rounder either, or a bowling
he's
all
not a
rounder.
batting all rounder, but like Abbas Afridi and Hassan Ali can
इससे
both
पहले
work.
अब्बास नहीं था इस मैच में, by the way,
No,
शायद खेल
no,
रहा था.
no, I
And
totally agree.
I would say कि if you look at Abbas Afridi's progression as a
He's
batter in
like
the
a
last
good
two
9,
years,
not an 8, I feel.
I would say at this stage, especially for PSL level, I think he has improved his batting enough that you can slot him in at 8.
यार आई
Like,
रिमेम्बर दैट फाइनल में जो उसने मारे थे और ये मारे थे आज, उसके अलावा क्या याद है किसी को?
हाँ,
it's a
मगर
fair point, but वही बात है कि लोकल अगर आप लोकल ऑलराउंडर्स पे जाओ तो फिर फहीम के बाद I think Abbas is the one who's probably the closest to being able to sort in that role, and I think it's a good exposure also because obviously Pakistan does need more options for the national team to be able to play and hit
Amir
and
Jamal,
more and
remember when he was going to be the next all-rounder? To be
and
fair, he did finish a game. And we need to talk about
yeah.
Zalmi after this as well.
yeah.
Yeah, and I was just gonna add a point about Haris Rauf, like, and Izzy mentioned, right, like, and I am one of the earliest Haris Rauf defenders, all the way from 2020 when he entered the Pakistan setup, and initially, I think the first
That
year
did
and a
not
half,
age well.
he was. Look, I had a good 2 years. 2021 and 2022 were great years to be a Haris Rauf defender because even in the 21 World Cup he won us some really close games. 22 World Cup maybe उसने अपनी जान मारी थी, especially in the final. The kind of bowling he did in the final is still memorable. But as AZ said, it's a very give and take situation with him. I feel like in the last year and a half, it's been only taking and no giving. So I don't know. I was already baffled at the fact that Lahore Qalandars decided to splurge 7 crores on him. Like, yeah, you want to reward your servants, but you already checked that box
Honestly,
off
I
with.
was I was honestly looking forward to having a Haris Rauf free, era coming up.
Exactly.
But then they
And
did
and
what
I
they
think
did. Honestly,
even as a player, sometimes this change of scenery can do you some good. Like if Haris
of
Rauf went to
course,
Pindies,
absolutely.
like आपको एक नया situation मिल जाता है, एक
That was what
नया
I
background मिल
really
जाता है.
disliked about the auction. सबने अपने पप्पू सारे वापस उठा लिए और सारे उधर चले गए. Man, show some creativity, man. Look out of the box.
No, and I would say कि with Haris right now, like, and if you look at the economies in the game today, everyone was going at about like uh under 6, and then you have Haris Rauf who's going at 12 on this very same pitch. So yeah, it's just such a difficult situation. I think with the fact that they have Mustafizur now, they should drop Haris from the 11 because he
Exactly.
plays
It's
that
like
that bowler role.
team compilation didn't make sense. And thankfully they've got Ryan Burl arriving. I was expecting him to play, to be honest. Parvez Imon se to kitni umeed hai. Let's talk about Zalmi in detail, though. I really enjoyed their first match performance, and on paper they look like a good team, man. I like whatever you say about Zalmi. They put together a good squad. Aaron Hardy wasn't great with the ball. He did decently with the bat. Okayish, Babar played really well. Haris played really well. But overall, I like the look of Zalmi, man. बहुत उनके बारे में बातें बनी थी, especially that multicolored kit they got on right now. But I like the looks of Zalmi, man. They look a solid unit.
No, and I think Zalmi's trend has been that their batting lineup has always been one on the more exciting side for the last couple of years in the PSL, right? And they still have Farhan Yusuf, who's on the bench, who's someone I'm really looking forward to playing for playing the PSL this year because the kind of role he plays is something we're lacking for the Pakistan national team. So hopefully he gets a look in at some point of this competition. I think, but again, it just comes back to, and I feel like this has been the perennial issue with Zalmi for the last 4 to 5 years, is the kind of role he plays is something we're lacking for the Pakistan national team. So hopefully he gets a look in at some point of this competition. I think, but again, it just comes back to, and I feel like this has been the perennial issue with Zalmi for the last 4 to 5 years, is they always botch they always botch the assembly of their bowling attack. And every time it gets to the back end of the season in the playoffs, it's always what has caused them. It's never really been their batting that's been the issue. Like their batting always usually holds up their end of the bargain, but the bowling is always lacking. One thing they need to look at is obviously, and this is something not it's not only a Babar issue. We saw the same with Rizwan in that game. Um, Being able, and I think this has been a trend across the game so far, being able to capitalize on a good power play is something I think all the teams have struggled on. Especially if you look at Quetta's first game, 75 runs ka power play tha, and then you saw what they did in the middle overs, and they basically threw away the game against Karachi. Similarly with Rizwan in that game, had a very good start. I think it was 20 of 9 or 10 at some point, and then he ended up at a sub 120 strike rate.
It was like
Same with
40
Babar.
of 32, 31 or something, I think. Like he got out on. Like he was
Yeah,
something like that.
yeah, and this is just I think the first 6 to 7 games this season. They've kind of exemplified a lot of the issues that the Pakistan national team has when it comes to like pacing the innings and being able to go at a positive rate in the middle overs. And I think all the teams have struggled with that. Two players I would like to shout out today are Shamil and Hassan, because the kind of situation which they came in, and they kept the scoreboard ticking. They didn't like completely drag the innings down, trying to stabilize. And Shamil in his post innings interview even acknowledged that my strike rate did go a bit lower than I would have liked to. So that's a very positive mindset. And they were constantly looking to attack the bad balls. And I would say Quetta, obviously I have some bias here, but I say Quetta hasn't even come close to peaking with their 11 so far. We still have Bevan Jacobs on the bench, who I'm sure will come in at some point, and Nafe still hasn't really gotten going. So if you have Shamil batting the way he is, and if Hassan starts to get into a groove, and then Nafe also starts to play himself in and gets going, I would say to if this team can peak at the right time, it's a very exciting time to be a Quetta fan.
I think a lot of young batsmen have done well this weekend as well. Like you had Hasbullah did well for so
Has
Hasbullah.
Hasibullah.
Where can we both? Sorry, the ADHD causes my Hasibullah did well. Shamil has done well. Who else? What's ka naam kya hai? Hassan Nawaz did well today.
Abdul
Uh,
Samad, you can say, did well.
Abdul Samad has also done well. Like there's been a lot of like middle order batsmen have young middle order batsmen have done well,
I don't know
which
if
is
you said Arfat Minhas, but also
yes,
him.
Alfat Manhas as well, right? And like you know, these are the players we are kind of lacking in the Pakistan national team right now. And like so, I like me and Asad were talking offline, and we were like we are really looking at these middle order batsmen and seeing if they can do anything because we really need some. Because like
Yeah.
yes, we love the PSL for what it is. I do think it's become one of the premier leagues of the T20 circuit. It's probably what like the third most financially prosperous league I think now. Um,
Yeah.
but like
पहली
for
दो कौन है
uh,
आईपीएल के अलावा?
I think it might be the I think it's the 100 if I'm not wrong. 100 yeah, Big Bash.
SA20 Yoga, I think.
Yeah, it's some
Hmm.
I think it might be SA20. Yeah. So
Yeah.
I read somewhere it was like it was third.
Yeah.
But like the main reason for the PSL, like why I was always originally excited about it, and why a lot of people are excited about, were always excited about it. It was a way to get young players into the cricket's international setup and face international bowling, right? And face high stakes atmosphere, right? And we have seen the fruits of that labor before. We saw Shaheen, we saw Rauf, we saw a lot of like PSL talent come into the team, and that benefited.
Fakhar, Shadab, so
Well,
on and so forth.
Fakhar was more of he was already making runs in domestic, but like
He
understand,
was a domestic, yeah.
uh,
But the platform to like
yeah,
get
yeah,
more eyes on him.
yeah, I completely. That's what I was saying. So I am really because like a lot of these guys, like because Shamil is like I think Shamil's his first season. Um, and like a lot of these are like their first or second season, so it's fun to watch. I hope Ali Raza, who's the fast bowler, right? I hope he eventually, because I do think he has a lot of talent. So I will be
He did pick
watching.
up 2 wickets,
Yeah, he did picked
three
up
wickets.
two. No, 2 wickets, 2 wickets. So
अच्छी pace दिखाई थी उसने.
huh. So I want to see how he, because he, like, we this happened with Shaheen as well. But Shaheen was, when it was his first PSL tournament, he was quite bad for like the first half of it. But then like he had that like that
5 wicket
announcement,
haul.
Multan game.
yeah, well, he had like 5 for 4 or something, right? If I'm not wrong, or
Yeah.
something like that. So
Yes.
I'm waiting for. I think I think Ali Raza is going to have a game like that this season. So I'm waiting for it, because like as much as we do need T20 batsmen, we are still a bowling nation. I will still always want my fast bowlers, man. I will always love my fast bowlers. Aside
So
from that,
let's take a look at the upcoming leg. Of course, it's in Lahore once again. The next 8 days, काफी lopsided सा schedule है because I'm looking at it closely. Multan has 4 matches in like 6 days. Then we have Hyderabad Kingsman only has 1 match the entire week. Lahore Qalandars only have 1 match the entire week, and Rawalpindis have 3 matches. So the Multan Sultans or Rawalpindis के लिए काफी heavy week है. Rawalpindis, we haven't talked about them so far. Asad, I want your take on them, and then Mustafa as well.
yeah.
No, I think Penties have actually done quite a good job with their team assembly, especially when remind me, who did they replace Jake Fraser McGurk with? It was McConchy, right?
Yeah, Cole McConkey, हाँ वही है शायद.
Yeah, so I think that was a smart move because they already had quite a top heavy team when it came to their batting lineup. So start ticking off that checkbox with McConchy at the I think was a pretty smart decision from them. I think they will suffer a bit because they're not going to get to play at Rawalpindi. I feel like the kind of 11 they assembled would have quite feasted on the boundary dimensions and the
Concrete wickets.
pitches over there.
Concrete wickets. Call them concrete. That's what they actually are.
I'll be on. Okay, but if you're being honest, I would say Pindi in the last 2 years has not been that bad compared to like the 2023 Pindi, where you were scoring 240, 250 for fun. It has been a bit more varied. I would say Pindi gets a really bad rep, but it's not as flat as it is notorious to be. But I think with Rawalpindis, the only issue I saw with them was and that they're still struggling with their fifth bowler. I think it was it Ahmad Butt who was bowling as their fifth bowler, and I would say that's one of the things I feel like these are like teething problems with obviously adding 2 new teams, that you are going to see some players who don't particularly measure up to that standard for the PSL. And I think Ahmad Butt, as good as he was when he was a bit younger, I don't think he should be a starting option or someone who's bowling 4 overs for a PSL franchise. So I want to see how they figure that bit out. And AZ was talking about the schedule, and this has been one of my biggest issues with the PSL this year, and actually getting excited for it, is we went from the prospect of this being the first edition that spans across 6 venues. So you have a multitude of conditions to play in and a lot of variability. And so you have like 6 out of your 8 teams get to play in front of their home crowd. Now you're back to being at the same 2 venues, Karachi and Lahore, where the bulk of cricket has been played since cricket returned to Pakistan. And as you go on, the pitches are going to be more and more used. So it's going to be even harder to bat on. And I don't know. I feel like the PSL. I'm excited to see how these youngsters deal with that. They've done so well so far, but I think that having all these games at 2 stadiums is gonna be a very big hit on the quality of cricket that we see for the rest of the tournament.
Yeah, I think that was certainly not in the plan, but it is what it is. We have to, deal with the situations at hand, and that has been the history of PSL right from day one. Of course, starting overseas, then behind closed doors, then COVID, then this, then that. I think as a Pakistani cricket fan audience, we're used to, dealing with these hiccups, and fair play. किसी और बोर्ड को इतने मसले होते तो उनकी कभी भी ऐसी franchise league establish ना हो पाती.
Exactly.
And but that's Pakistan in a nutshell for you. Next match coming up is a good one. United versus Zalmi. What do we think about that?
I just don't trust Islamabad. Like both of their bowling lineups, I just don't like. So
यार
lineup.
जल्मी की ठीक है यार जल्मी की
Sorry,
it's
sorry,
not
sorry,
that bad.
sorry. I'm confusing Zalmi's lineup with Pindi's. Sorry, that's my
Let
fault.
me take a look at Zalmi's
No,
bowling
no,
just once
no, no,
more.
no, 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 no. So I'm confusing.
Shoriful, Aaron Hardy, Ali Raza, Amir Jamal, Bracewell, Sufyan Muki. It is dodgy,
It
but
is
it's not bad. It's not the
Amir,
it's
worst.
a lot is gonna hinge on if Amir Jamal can like get like the
उसने तो
odd
10 and 12 पे तो
good.
जाना ही जाना है वो तो गिवन है.
वही हाँ, बट वो कभी कभी वंस इन अ ब्लू मून उसमें थोड़ा वो एक जाग जाता
वो
है.
रिवर्स चल जाएगा थोड़ा फखर
हाँ,
आके
हाँ,
बॉल
हाँ,
निकले तो कोई
दस
बात नहीं
दस
सकती.
11 इकोनॉमी से 9 हो जाएगा.
No,
Uh,
and यार economy, sorry, I'm sidetracking a bit, but like I was just अभी जल्मी की बात हुई तो मैं स्कोर कार्ड्स खोल रहा था. I already had the Lahore scorecard open, just seeing Group's economy compared to everyone else today. like यार इस बंदा क्या करे. But with Islamabad, I think another thing we need to talk about is 7 crores on Devon Conway in big 2026. Is this
यार
gonna pay off
कॉनवे
for them?
अब आईपीएल मल्टीपल आईपीएल विनर तो है बुरा प्लेयर तो नहीं है बट देयर फेटिश विद हैविंग ओवरसीज बैटर्स वो तो उनका है ना
Yeah, I think Chapman is gonna be the better pickup for them, obviously.
चैपमैन
I mean,
भी
I
मुझे
don't.
लगता है पिंडी मर्चेंट ही उधर ही आके पाकिस्तान को हमेशा
hmm.
मारता है वो वरना तो मुझे नहीं इतना याद
Yeah,
उसका
but
कुछ.
he did get 40 of 20 in the last game, so
He's a good player. I like Mike
yeah.
Chapman. But
Yeah, yeah, but I just think I think Pindy's strategy of always just picking the best local bowling talent and like some all rounders, and then just putting all of your internationals in your top
you
six.
mean United?
Huh? Sorry,
You mean
United.
United?
Yes, United.
Ah.
United.
Yeah.
Yeah, bhai, there's 8 teams now. There's a lot of names to remember. United doing this, I
And
think.
then the names changed multiple times before the competition
Yes,
started as
exactly,
well.
exactly. One changed 3 times, if I'm not wrong. Uh,
Multan Stallions.
so no, but like when you live in a world where sorry in a country where now you have Khwaja Nafe, Hassan Nawaz, Abdul Samad, क्या बोलते हैं, even Yasir Khan to a certain extent, or Usman Khan. Like you do have good, decent local batting talent where you could be using that to bring in some pace bowling all rounders, which is the thing that we're actually lacking in in the country right now in our local pool. And that's what I think they're missing the trick right now, where they're still living in the PSL of like PSL 1, 2, 3, 4. It's not that PSL anymore. They've not changed with the times, and like we've seen that how with their performances over the last couple of years.
Yeah, I think when it comes to pace all-rounders, you can't blame the franchises too much because, like, if you follow domestic cricket, there are not many options,
No, no, no.
quality options available for that role. And I think that's more of something that the NCA should be focusing on. We know Akif Javed is in charge of that, so he's good at player development. He's not good at a lot of things, but he's good at player development. So I would hope that it's up high on the priority list to unearth some pace all rounders. But yeah, I agree with Islamabad's strategy has not changed a lot since they moved the competition here. And when we look at like these young players, right? Um, I hope they will stick by Samir Minhas even if he has a good start, if he
Hmm.
has a tough start. And that has been a big issue with United. They've been very guilty of not really giving confidence to their emerging players in recent seasons. So I hope that will change. And when you talk about like youngsters playing roles that we need to fill, and you mentioned Nafe, and I would say, as if you look at it from Pakistan cricket's point of view, quite selfishly, I would say that I think it's better if he's batting at 5. You might have more teething problems there because he's obviously a lot more comfortable in the top three. But you need someone who can bat like a Khwaja Nafe in the middle order for Pakistan. So it might take him some time to figure that role out because obviously he's not the best at managing spin in the middle overs, but none of your cricketers are, except maybe Hassan Nawaz. So I think that's he's one to watch this season for sure. Like if he can crack this role, it solves a lot of problems for Pakistan cricket.
Would it also like okay from Pakistan's point of view? I completely understand playing him at five, but like from Quetta's point of view, I just don't understand why you don't have him open. Like why isn't he not opening with Shamal? Like it just makes like I understand that Saud's your captain, right? And but like he doesn't give you that valuable of captaincy where you're like legitimately damaging your batting lineup by playing him by opening with him now.
I
Would
think
you?
the issue is that I think the issue is that Quetta did, I would say on paper, Quetta drafted quite a good team, like in the auction. Like they made a very, like they did cover all their bases, and even getting in Ahmed Daniel after the auction, I think was that might end up being probably one of their top three picks
Hmm.
this season because if you saw how he's bowled in the first two games, I was like very surprised that Multan willingly gave him to us because again he checks off that death bowling box and he can and he can hit the ball as well if you send him in at 8 9. So I think that's a big pick. But yeah, I agree. Like South being in there does distort the 11 quite a bit. I think Riley is another one who needs to be taken a look at because if he's going to be providing this kind of output, I would much rather push everyone up a position. Maybe put Nafe at three, and fit in Jacobs and Hampton at the lower half of the batting order. Because I do think Quetta's lower order batting is something that is an issue so far. We've seen collapses in both the games, and you have Tom Curran coming in at seven. Ideally, you want Tom Curran maybe at eight, because he can hit the ball. But again, as AZ pointed out, batting depth has not really been a priority across these first few games, as in what we've seen. Um, but yeah, I think the issue with Quetta is they don't really have anyone else who's experienced enough or to be the captain, or anyone who has captained at all. I think that's the biggest issue.
Well, they've basically gone all in on South Shakil, so let's see how it pays off. Final few thoughts, gents. Who are the four teams that are trending in the right direction, and who are the four teams that are trending downwards? Let's get your calls early after the first week of PSL.
Uh,
Um,
Go ahead, Mustafa.
so firstly, it's got to be the team that's on the top of the table right now with two wins. With two wins. Listen, let me enjoy it right now. I don't know if Karachi, if Karachi can sustain this. So yeah, so I think Karachi is looking good. Uh,
Even Karachi only has one match in the next week. यार even समझ नहीं आ रही है क्या schedule बनाया इन्होंने.
yeah.
I think they basically took. I think they basically just took the sections that were supposed to be in different cities in the original
Yeah.
schedule and kind of threw, because that's the only reason I can see Multan having 4 games in this league, because usually क्या होता है Multan की 4 home games एक साथ आती हैं.
वो एक साथ आ जाती हैं हाँ. So who else is trending well, Mustafa?
So Karachi, I think, is trending well. I think Multan is trending well. Uh, I do think even though Quetta lost the game, I do like them because I think they do have the best bowling construction. Because I do think that I like their bowling lineup a lot, and I like Zalmi as well. Zalmi's fine as well. Even like either Zalmi as well, or even though they've lost, I did like what I saw from that batting lineup. So Pindies as well. So like I also so it's like it's a toss up for the number four spot between Pindies and Zalmi for me.
What about you, Asad?
Yeah, I'd say Karachi without a doubt. I think they're looking the strongest. And the kind of, again, I feel like Adam Zampa is going to be such a difference
Hmm.
maker in this tournament. And David Warner as well. I think if he had a pretty good first game.
हाँ दो तीन मैच
Um,
तो वो जिताएगा ही जिताएगा.
and he's probably gonna pull a few games out for them.
And they've got Reza
Um,
Hendricks on the bench as well, man. He's a
Mm.
great player.
exactly, especially when you go on these more used pitches, I think he's probably gonna be someone they'll bring in eventually. Then you have, I would say after that, I would say Zalvi. I know
Hmm.
Amir Jamal. I know their bowling is a weak link, but I think their batting has enough juice in it that they should easily make it to the playoffs at least. Quetta, I think, again, as I said, I don't think they've like quite peaked. I mean, it's only 2 games, and obviously they've not peaked, but like they haven't quite performed to their potential yet. And you still have guys on the bench who could come in, whether it's Jacobs, Jahandad, Hampton, etc. And after that, I would say Lahore. Honestly, I know it's not Aaj ki performance देख के you can't really say much, but again, they have Mustafizo, they have Shaheen. That those two alone can change quite a bit, and then they have Ubaid as well, depending on how he gets going.
But they
Fakhr
have
is
Haris Rauf.
always, but they have the luxury of benching Haris Sarouf now because they
Will
have
they bench
Mustafizo
him?
now.
Will they bench him?
That's the million-dollar question. If they bench him, the
Do you
fact,
think Shaheen will bench Haris Rauf?
No, the point is they
I
can bench him, huh?
yeah,
But
they
they
can. That's the thing, right? Previous seasons they didn't have that luxury. Um, and you have Patrick Herman on the bench. I think if he comes in, I think the middle
Ruben
order.
Herman.
Sorry, Patrick Herman, kaun hai, bhai? Ruben Herman. Um,
Actually, they are
yeah,
brothers Herman. दो भाई हैं actually.
yeah. I mean, I think it's very
I don't know
obvious
if
that I
his name is
stayed.
Patrick though.
Yeah, this is, it's showing that I was up all night watching the Quetta game. Um, but if Herman can come in for Iman, I think that should solve a lot of issues for them in the middle because I think that is where they're lacking out of all the departments this season. And yeah, on like only 1 game so far, but honorable mention to Multan. I think that they should
Hmm.
have a pretty solid tournament.
Certainly going to be a fascinating second leg coming up. It's going to be matches from the 31st till the 6th of April. So that's going to be about 8 matches being played in that week, and certainly going to be a lot of thrills and spills in the PSL once again. It's a new era, but certainly a lot of excitement building up. Thank you, Asad, and thank you so much, Mustafa, for your time. And we'll do this after this leg of the Lahore PSL matches, and certainly there'll be a lot of movement on the table as well.